Happy New Year. Although you could be listening to this in January or February. I mean, this is New Year's Eve of 2020, but you could be, 2027. I mean, that's what's cool about podcasts, right? You can listen to them anytime.
Right.
This is the Nisha Jackson podcast. I'm Rusty Humphries. She's Nisha Jackson, the smart one. And we sure appreciate you being here. Share this with your friends. Especially if they're all liquored up from New Year's and going, oh, God, what am I going to do in 2020? How am I going to make things better? How many times have we done resolutions and then, by the 7th go, man, I had resolutions. We want to keep them this year. And Nisha, are you good at that, keeping resolutions?
Yes. Actually, I'm pretty intentional. Not with all of them. I mean, every year I go, gosh darn it, I didn't meditate enough.
Okay.
Gosh darn it, I didn't get to enough yoga classes or any. Gosh darn it, I didn't get those 17,000 books read. So, there's always things that I wish that
what didn't you do this? Because this year you were big. It's funny you brought up the meditation thing. Because you went to this big summer camp in Guadalupe something and met some really cool people and
I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. I just signed up to go back this May again.
Wow, okay.
I'm going to go. It's round 2.
Round 2. Well, and I know you met a bestie there, a new BFF or whatever you want to call that person. And so, life's going good for you. But were you on the meditation bandwagon? Oh, I'm going to meditate all the time. Did you keep up on that one?
Well, that's a good one. I mean, that's a really good question. Yes and no.
Okay.
So I am not traditionally meditating every morning. Would be like traditional meditation. I have decided to weave meditation into my day. So when I'm driving alone, I turn everything off and I just meditate. I meditate on whatever I want to meditate on. I might meditate on all the things that I'm really grateful for. I could meditate on all the things that I want more of in my life. I do a lot of that. I do that. I try to do that many times a day. I meditate on what I want more in my life. And I'm telling you, this stuff works.
Okay, hold on a second. How do you meditate when you're driving? Because if you are, I don't want to be on the road with you.
Especially the way I drive.
Yeah.
It ain't safe. I'm telling you right now. It's just not safe. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Well, not really. So no, when you're driving, people are thinking about a lot of other things. I just choose to think about things that are really beneficial to my mind and to my spirit and to my, what things I want to attract. And so I do that a lot when I'm at work. I might just tune out for 10 minutes and just breathe. A lot of times I'll get up and I'll walk outside. People see me walking around the clinic all the time, and I'll just walk and meditate when I walk. When I exercise in the morning, if I exercise alone, I'm exercising and I'm meditating on things I want more of in my life or what I'm grateful for. Those are the 2 most common things I do when I meditate, but it's not the traditional meditation. And I just think if people would add more of this into their life, they would be happier.
Does it make a difference, really?
It does.
Yeah.
This is a law. Attraction actually is a law that what you set your mind on, you will get more of. And it's kind of like just directing yourself in the way that you want your life to play out. And it doesn't mean, I really want to win the lottery and I'm pretty sure I'm going to win it tomorrow since I'm thinking about it all day today. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about whatever you set your mind on, there your body goes to. And it's so true. It's so true. And why would you spend your time focusing on things that are negative? Why would you spend any time worrying about things? I tell mothers all the time, be careful what you worry about because it might just come true. So, and
what do you mean by that? Why? Because you're worrying and you're not being intentional and being positive about it? You're focusing on the negative side?
Yeah, exactly. You're so focused on what could go wrong, it probably will go wrong because your whole energy is focused towards what is negative and what is bad and what could go wrong. And so there your body goes to, your whole life moves in that direction. And I had something recently happen to me. I'm going to talk about my daughter, my oldest daughter. And I love my daughters. And recently I had a little, it's so interesting, Rusty. I'm going to be a little transparent here. It's slightly embarrassing. We just did a show recently on avoiding weight gain during the holidays.
Yes.
And I was down in Southern California. I had some friends in town. We enjoyed way too much good food, way too much good wine. And I wasn't really being careful like I normally would be careful. And I was kind of, I was coming off this knee injury and I haven't been able, it was right before I started cycling and was able to burn some calories, like really burn some calories. And I noticed that my weight starts creeping up and I'm like, this is awful. I just did a show on this, like how you need to be careful. And then it happened to me. And I got really like flipped out about it. I got flipped out that I'm like, oh my God, the scale is continuing to go up. Like I'm freaking out.
Like what, a pound? I mean, you're not like heavy in any way. I mean, what's freaking out to you? 3 pounds?
I was freaking out. Okay. I it was literally every day. I swear it was going up by another pound. I was freaking out.
Okay.
And I talked to my daughter. I said, Jordan, I don't know what's going on. I've been off a little bit, but I've been back on again and I'm really being careful and I'm exercising and I'm taking really good care of myself and I'm cycling now after my injury and feeling really good about it. And I said, but the scale keeps going up. I don't know what's wrong with me. And she's like, Mom, you're too focused on it. You're too focused on what is happening that you don't want. You need to start focusing on what you do want because you're doing everything right. So just give yourself a break, wait another week, don't weigh yourself, focus on what you want and see what happens. Just keep doing what you're doing and quit freaking out, which is so interesting because that's like what I tell people to do.
Right.
And it's my daughter telling me to do it. And sure enough, in a week, I was fine. Everything was back to normal. I was fine. But this is what happens with people is we freak ourselves out by thinking of what could be wrong with you or what's not right with you or what you're afraid of or what you hate or what you dislike about yourself. And then it's like your whole body moves in that direction. So why in the world would we choose to focus on that? And it happens to me too.
Nice.
So
okay.
I wanted to share that because that was like a real eye-opening experience for me that I sort of had to preach. I had to practice what I was preaching, but via my daughter.
Okay, so
New Year's resolution.
Yeah, so we all have these great intentions on January 1st. We're going to lose weight. We're going to read books. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then, and it's positive intentions, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't last for most folks. And is there a way to overcome that? Or is that just human nature?
Well, I think you have to be very intentional and be dedicated to visualizing. So we talked about this when Jen was on the show, the attractor. In fact, I'm going to have her on again soon. And maybe when you're in La Quinta and we're doing a show, we should have Jen join us again. But
great.
You not only want to identify what your intention is, your resolution is for this next year, but you want to attach some emotion to it. So just my story recently of me freaking out because I kept gaining like a pound a day, and then just getting off of it and saying, I will have no problem getting back to where I was because I'm doing everything right, and I was just visualizing where I needed to be, like no, not muffin topping over my pants, and so the thing is you want to put some emotion to it. So if you want a different body, what does that look like for you? How does that feel? How do you feel when you put your pants on and you zip them up and they're not tight? What does it feel like to not bulge out of your shirt? What would it feel like to feel like you're starting to see some muscles on your stomach? What would it feel like for you to have really good, solid moods because you're feeding yourself the right food? Like, what would it feel like to not fly off the handle with your kids? Like, what would it feel like to have your stress under control or wake up in the morning feeling refreshed? What does that really feel like? And I think that's what I believe makes resolutions more real and more attainable is attaching some emotion to it, like you're actually feeling it all the way into your cells. And that may sound strange, Rusty, but it's so true. And it's actually been shown in research to be even more effective if you can really visualize it and feel it and attach emotion to it.
And I guess why I find this interesting coming from you is that, your whole life is not about, patchouli oil and sitting around a drum fire, smoking weed and hey man, dude, you're not like some crazed hippie. You're an accomplished woman that has done a lot of things and have been in the real world for a long time. So you found something that actually works. I'm guessing your scientific mind, did it have a hard time with that at first?
No, I've always been a little on the woo-woo side. I mean, if you talk to my parents, I mean, I was a strange child. I am kind of a little weird is good. I have a sign in my garage that says a little weird is good. But it's not even really weird. I mean, to not acknowledge the spiritual part of our makeup is really does us a disservice, because there is a huge spiritual component that most people just ignore. They're not in touch with their feelings. They're not in touch with energy. They're not into our whole body. Our whole body is an energetic field. Everything inside our body is an energetic field. So to think that there's not an energetic force moving us or propelling us towards something we either want or don't want is kind of crazy. I mean, you're really not very open, or you're really not reading very much if you don't think that's true. So, and you could just try it on yourself and just see, freak out about your kids and the way they're behaving for a while and see how much better they get. They probably won't get better.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and I don't know if you want to go here, but we have a large Christian nation. And I don't know your religious background at all, but is there any of this that you think, I would think it would make people who are Christians uncomfortable. Are they missing something? Does it work together with religion or not?
Absolutely. I would say every single religion out there, it's all saying the same thing in relationship to this topic. Fix your mind on what is pure, what is good, what is lovely. I mean, that's a verse in the Bible. So I'm saying the same thing, is fix your mind on things that are lovely and pure and good and positive, because you will get more of that. And it's what your body and your spirit needs and your mind needs. So that's all I'm saying, is that you want to stay focused on those things. I also read something this morning that I thought was really good. Work 30% less, play 30% more, and you'll have 100% more happiness and 100,000 times more success.
Okay.
How could that be true? Think about that.
And coming from a woman like you, it's not like you're you're a workaholic. You're crazy busy. I mean, that's got to be one of the hardest things in the world for you.
Yeah, but I would say, since I went to Rhythmia last May, the spiritual retreat that I went to in Costa Rica, which was amazing, I would say I definitely have done that. I have incorporated a lot more enjoyment with friends, a lot less work. Unfortunately, I gave a lot of it to my daughter, who's now overworked. But I am working less, and I do feel that things are more successful. Like, things are coming to me, but I'm enjoying myself more. And I do think there's a way to do that, because it's all about staying balanced. It's staying balanced in your play life and staying balanced in your work life and your family life, because it's so easy. It's not like you can get this right all the time, but it's so easy to be overly focused on work and really not having that play or that fun time, or having it incorporated into your day every day. And the problem is, you lose all of your creativity and all of your good emotional juice when you're not playing. And ultimately, you're not happy. And so I just love what I read this morning, because I do think that's true. I think people are far more successful if they incorporate play or fun into every single day, or certainly every single week, rather than just waiting for your one vacation a year. I mean, I just think it needs to be incorporated into your regular life. So maybe that could be a New Year's resolution to help us all be more successful, is incorporating more play and putting down your phone. I was at a restaurant last night, and I was watching a family interacting with their children, and the parents were on their phones, and their kids were just on everyone was on their phones. I'm like, hello, this is a family dinner. And, you only get your kids for a certain amount of time. And I'm guilty of this too, but just becoming aware of it, kind of like what you said, the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood movie.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, there's a story, and I've followed Mr. Rogers since I was a kid, and actually studied him in a little bit in college. And there's a story where he's being interviewed by a guy, and that's part of the movie that they did. I don't think they did this part as well, but the movie with Tom Hanks. But there's a moment in this, he's being interviewed by a journalist, and I forget the journalist's name, Jim Smith, whatever. And Mr. Rogers says, Jim, you know what the most important thing in the world to me is right now? He says, no. He says, talking to Jim Smith. Now, at first, the guy's like thinking, okay, it's Mr. Rogers being, wacky or whatever. And then you think about what he meant, and that was every time he talked to somebody, for that moment in time, that person was the most important person in Mr. Rogers' life at that moment.
I love that.
And it's a great, great lesson, Nisha, like you said, because if we could, as we talk to people, meet people for the first time or our spouse or whatever, when you're right in front of them, they are the most important thing in your life for that moment, those moments that you're with them.
Right.
And how many of us are, like you said, at dinner or on the phone?
Yeah, right.
And those are not the most important things in our lives at that moment.
Right.
So that's the great lesson.
How could posting something on social media or looking at someone's random Facebook that you don't even spend time with or love be more important than the people that you adore that are right in front of you? I mean, if you just break it down to that, it's pretty incredible to think about.
Unless somebody's posting a nice lunch. I know that's important.
Exactly. Anyway,
is this thing that you learned? Okay, the law of attraction,
yes.
The meditation. Was this something that was pretty much focused in your life this year because of that retreat, or you had a little bit of that before, right?
I've read so many books and I've studied, I love anything related to mind body. I love mind body medicine because I just think it's so real and it's so effective. So I've always been interested in it and have tried to practice as much as possible. But I just think what happened to me at Rhythmia was I was able to get rid of a lot of the background stuff that was keeping me sort of stumbling on things personally. And I didn't think I really had that many issues until I got there and realized that once I went through this retreat in the plant medicine, I realized that there really was a lot of stuff, a lot of noise, emotional noise in the background that just needed to be cleared out. And it was such a healthy thing for me because it was many things that I had forgotten that have happened to me in the past that I didn't think were really an issue, but they were. And it becomes very clear in a retreat like this what the problems are, and it allows you to kind of get rid of it. So then you can it's almost like putting your energetic field on steroids because you come back and you're just so much more, it's like your vibration is so much higher that you're attracting so much more positivity, and it's amazing. So but you can do this on your own. People can do this on their own by just getting quiet and getting focused on what it is that you want. Do you want to get your finances under control? Do you want to have more playtime with your kids? Do you want to quit smoking? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to start eating better food? Do you want to start saying no to crap food and yes to good food that really heals your body? Do you want to do that? Do you want to get organized with your time? Do you want to try to get your house under control when it's completely disorganized? What does it feel like to do that? And I think if you stay focused on that, write it down and keep reading it, put it places where you can see it and attach an emotion to it, a positive emotion, and see what happens. Or maybe just start with one and try it.
There's a couple of books that come to my mind. I wonder what you think about them. The Secret, that was a big one. Think and Grow Rich. I want to say Napoleon Dynamite, but it was Napoleon Hill. Have you read those two books, and do you like them or no?
Yes. Yeah, I think some of these books, they kind of say the same thing over and over and over again in the book. But I think if any of these books, I mean, as you can see in my background here, there's thousands of books that are, all over my, you can see them all. Anyway.
You've got a couple of my favorite ones right behind you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, one is called Think Bigly. That's a good one. And Influence is a good one. They're on your on the other side of you. Yeah. Those are good ones there. And
Blue Ocean Strategy, that's an interesting. Anyway, I try to get a couple of things out of these books.
Do you have time to read? How do you have time to read?
I kind of try to speed read through books, but I try to grasp a couple of things that are really useful. And I recently, just last night at dinner, I was going to share this today because this is good for New Year's resolution. There's an app that I just got on my phone. It's called Insight, and it looks like the actual app looks like a Tibetan bowl. You know, like those little Tibetan bowls that you do the little sound.
Yes.
The sound, yeah. Okay, so it's called Insight, and it is guided meditations. It's free. And there's multiple topics. Like if I just did a guided meditation on, let's say I just did a guided meditation on anxiety. If I go to that, and then I can pick how many minutes I want to do the meditation on. Let's say it's 15 minutes and I want to do it before I go to sleep. And then it will come up with like 200 guided meditations on anxiety for 15 minutes. I'm not kidding, like 200. Wow. And you can pick any one you want and just listen to it for free.
How much where's that one? What's it called again?
It's called Insight, INSIGHT. And I'm really grateful to my friend Ted, who I went to dinner with last night, and he told me about it. There's things like, meditation on mindfulness at work and improving relationships and boosting your self-esteem and improving your sleep. Like you listen to these meditations before you go to sleep at night. But this is what I believe, back to the New Year's resolution that I just wanted to drive home today. I believe, just my opinion, I believe that if we were filling and feeding our brain with this positivity and reading quotes, which I love words, reading quotes and filling our mind with positivity and positive affirmations and focusing on things that we really want more of, like what does that feel like? If we were doing that more, I'm telling you, Rusty, our whole life will move in that direction. It's like magic, but it works. And so I would just encourage people, instead of just writing down a bunch of, here's my physical New Year's resolution, my spiritual, my emotional, my work, my finances, whatever, blah, 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 writing it down and then forgetting where the heck you wrote it in a week from now. I would say instead of doing that, I would start feeding yourself with a lot of positivity and a lot of mental downtime and plugging into where you're at that particular moment, and see what happens when you write a couple of resolutions down and you attach emotion and energy towards it. Just see what happens. And then sticking with it. Don't do it for 2 days and forget about it. Stick with it. Put it everywhere where you can see it and read it, and let it be part of your whole being. Because I think that's what creates success in resolutions.
Wow. Okay. Very important stuff. And it might be different than anything you've heard before. But I've been studying this a little bit myself lately and have seen it have positive aspects on my life too. I know Nisha has as well. So again, Insight is an app you're talking about. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, The Secret, any other books that you like?
Attractor Factor. I mean, there's a lot of attraction type books out there, but
it's called
again,
The Law of Attraction.
Yeah, The Law of Attraction and The Attractor Factor is another one. There's so many out there, but they're all kind of saying the same thing. So if you can just read a couple, it might not all be things that resonate with you or you don't maybe necessarily spiritually agree with, but just use it as a principle of keeping your mind in a healthy state, which it doesn't matter what religion you are. There's no religion that doesn't want you or encourage you to keep your mind and your spirit in a healthy, beautiful state, because that's where we're meant to be. And that's where we're at our best and our highest vibration.
Well, great advice to start this new year off with. And we also ask you to please be a part of the Nisha Jackson Show as it continues to grow by listening and sharing and subscribing and following along. And I think all of us are going to have a better year this 2020. It's going to be a crazy election year, but maybe we can add positivity in it too and not have everything be about politics.
Right.
So,
no worry.
No worries. So
don't worry.
Don't worry. Be happy. Go to nishajackson.com. You can find out more about her and her great practice, One Peak Medical, and whatever you might have. Questions, if you have, you can go to that. You can go there. Yes.
One more thing.
Yes.
Go to my new Instagram. I've started a new Instagram. I have some awesome posts. Dr. Nisha Jackson, DRNISHA Jackson, Dr. Nisha Jackson, Instagram. Go to my Instagram. Please, please, please.
Go there.
We need you.
Yes, all right.
We want you.
We sure appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Rusty Humphries for Nisha Jackson, and this is The Nisha Jackson Show.